Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable lands in the state of New Mexico. New property going live on the website this week, guys. This one is in the Tierra Verde Ranchettes subdivision out there in Cibola County. This is a region where we have previously, I am going to guess, in our land listing careers, bought, listed, and sold roughly about 24 lots. This, however, becomes the first property of all of those that have preceded it. The first one, it is unique. It differentiates itself from all the others because, as you can see from the headline here, power at the lot line. Normally, this is not something per se to boast about. Normally, we try to only buy properties in subdivisions that have power throughout them, where power is common, where it'll be easy for our buyers to eventually hook up to the grid, so on and so forth. That being said, Tierra Verde is a 4,500-acre subdivision with one utility easement, and this property just happens to sit along that easement. Ergo, guys, there's a power pole sticking out of the land, which should make it both easier and more affordable for you to get hooked up to the grid with whatever you eventually decide to build or park on the property. Should also be noted, guys, as we are fond of saying, the Tierra Verde Ranchettes subdivision is one with no regs, no rules, no HOAs, no dues. And what that means is there is no zoning ordinance that oversees this area. There are no covenants, no restrictions. There is no HOA and no ticky-tack fines leveled by said HOA. And what that translates to for you, the buyer, is just a lot more freedom, a lot more independence to build whatever you want out there, park whatever you want out there, camp for indiscriminate periods of time, so on and so forth. Should be noted that everything I've just mentioned is typically very popular with our buyers for this subdivision, but the big draw, of course, is the property's proximity to the Cibola National Forest, which of course makes this an ideal hunting property or a place for a hunting cabin. So with all that said, guys, let's introduce the property properly, and then we'll get to the details. This is reference number CBNM-5778B, like Bravo, located as noted in Tierra Verde in Cibola County. This one is a scooch more than 10 acres, 10.36 to be exact, and it should be noted that this is a combination of two adjacent 5-acre lots. And of course, as you saw up top here, this property is priced at $10,500, which is actually a really good price for two lots in this region, particularly ones with power at the lot line. So, blah, blah, blah. With all that said, guys, let's bring it up on a map, talk about the exact details, and show you exactly where this is. As with all of our listings, we got some GPS coordinates, guys. Hyperlink down here on the listing page, 5 of them, 4 corner points in the center. Click any one, and up on Google Maps, it shall appear. So first off, if we go to map view, we will see nothing. But if we pull back, there we go. There it is. All right. If we pull back, for the unacquainted, for the unfamiliar, Albuquerque, of course, is the North Star of New Mexico geography. Anybody who knows nothing about New Mexico still knows Albuquerque up here. This property is roughly about 90 minutes, 90 miles west of Albuquerque. And if we right-click and measure distance, you will see the Google Maps backs me up on that. So roughly about 90 miles west. It should be noted, of course, that most of that is highway drive here along the I-40, which means you're going to be able to accomplish that in a lot faster than an hour and a half. You're going to be doing 75, 80 miles an hour. Most of this drive, probably get it done like an hour 15, an hour 10, something like that. Anyway, with all that said, Cibola County, of course, is out here in northwestern New Mexico. It borders Arizona to its west. This is a county that I am fond of saying has more cows than people. Not really, but you get my point. This is a rural region, and what it lacks in the sort of city nightlife and entertainment you would find in Albuquerque, it makes up for, however, in some great, just sort of American West outdoor features, a lot of great sights to see, just great scenery out here. So, for instance, guys, if we zoom in on the map, El Morro National Monument is out here very close to the subject property. Additionally, the ice caves and Bandera Volcano are in this region. Chaco Canyon is pretty close by. Additionally, El Malpais National Monument and the conservation area are out here. Chain of Craters Wilderness Study Area is down here, and the Wild Spirit Wolf Sanctuary is very close by. If, of course, all of that is not to your liking, if you're more of a water person, you want to go out on a lake, you want to go fishing, you will be glad to know, guys, that the Rama Reservoir or the Rama Lake is nearby over here in Rama. Additionally, Blue Water Lake State Park is up here in the northern part of the county. This is, of course, a little bigger lake. Both of these, of course, will offer plenty of opportunities for boating, fishing, jet skiing, and plenty of water-based recreation activities. Should be noted, guys, there's a giant splotch of green on this map, which signifies the 300,000 acres of Cibola National Forest. As noted, a lot of people who buy these properties tend to be hunters, tend to want to go out here, seasonal retreats, build a hunting cabin sort of thing. You're very close to this region. Of course, plenty of great opportunities for hunting, hiking, camping, picnicking, so on and so forth. And it bears mentioning elk, mule deer, wild turkey. These are the species of critter that get hunted most in this region, as I have read on numerous gaming websites. I'm sure there's others, but those are the top 3. Anyway, guys, all right, so subject property is down here. It should be noted that all this region that I am circling here on the map, roughly all this region, is the Tierra Verde Ranchettes subdivision. This is about 4,500 acres, most all of it broken up into 5-acre lots. There's a few 10-acre lots out here, but most of it are 5 acres. And this property sits down here on this road right here, which is actually a named road, which is rare for this region, called Mason Ranch Road. Mason Ranch is one of the major roads within the area, and I know that because it has a name. Most of the roads in Tierra Verde Ranchettes do not have names. Most of them are barely identifiable when you're driving out there. But the point is this property sits right here along Mason Ranch. It should also be noted that Mason Ranch is where you have the utility easement that goes through this area. In fact, if we zoom in on the map, you will see power line number 1 right here. You'll see another over here. And if we keep following it like this, you'll see another over here, and blah, blah, blah. Point being is that you will actually, within the sort of realm of this power easement, you will see some nice homes out here that have power going to them. Most of the subdivision is pretty underpopulated, pretty sparsely populated. But in this little area right here, you will see some nice homes simply because that's where the power is. So, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, point being, we're not going to get much else from this map. I would say if you go to map view, you're not going to see a plat overlay. So I will direct your attention back to the listing page here, where we have not only sort of size, shape, location, general footprint of these 2 adjacent properties, but also we have the plat maps down here of the Tierra Verde Ranchette subdivision. Of course, the wide view, and then zoomed in. These are the 2 specific properties that we're talking about, and here's Mason Ranch going through them, etc. As always, guys, we always get photos taken from the properties themselves. So the photos that you see in this gallery are an exact representation of the land. They were taken from the property. And here, voila, is that power line that I was talking about. If it sounds like I'm overselling the power line, I promise you, it's 4,500 acres. This is like one of the few spots that has it, so it's kind of a big deal. I've listed so many properties out here. I've never seen this. It's always like, oh, there's power about 1.5 miles away. This is the first one we've had where it actually sits on this easement. So anyway, going through the photos, of course, you first get a sense of the road. It should be noted, guys, if you're going to go scout the property, if you're going to buy the property, you're going to want to go out there at least the first time in an off-road capable vehicle, a truck, something like that. Some of the roads in the region are actually surprisingly tame, kind of arid climate. Some of them are pretty flat, pretty dry, pretty easy to drive on. Others, it's a little bit of a chore. It's a little bit of a struggle. So be prepared. And by the way, not necessarily within the subdivision, but within the X miles that it takes to get to the subdivision. So point being, you should be prepared for that if you intend to go out there. Additionally, what we see from these photos is that this is a lot with a decent amount of vegetation. If you look at map view here of Tierra Verde Ranchettes, you'll see regions like this that are completely barren and have barely any trees on them. And then you'll see other parts of Tierra Verde that are just densely covered in forest. This one is a nice mix of both. It's got some nice clearings in it. It's got some good vegetation, some nice pine trees, etc. So point being, let's just say it's got a little visual diversity more than some of the other lots out there. Additionally, I know a lot of you guys like to have trees on your properties. A lot of you guys look for vegetation on these lands. So this is a nice property for that. Of course, it should also be noted that nice flat buildable land out there. You are not going to have to do too much cutting down of trees. Not going to have to do too much excavating, too much landscaping. Whatever you're building out there, even if you're just taking like an RV out there to park or a mobile home to park, you're not going to have too much difficulty with just sort of setting up a basic foundation for the land. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, guys, as we go through the photos, we have, of course, photos from the property itself and then some drone shots, high angles of the land up here. Again, you get a sense of that nice mix of vegetation out there, some good cutout spaces on the property, as well as the trees, etc. I will let you review these on your own time, guys. I will also point out we're going to have a drone video down here. It's the one we put on all of our Tierra Verde Ranchettes properties. This will just give you a good sense of what the terrain is like out there, what the surroundings are like, what the subdivision is like in itself. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, which I breezed over here in the gallery because I want to come back to it, is this picture. So our photographer goes out there, and as sometimes happens, he discovers things on the property that we were unaware of. and that we asked the previous owners about, and they were unaware of. And this looks like, and I'm just riffing here, I don't know, but this looks to me like a well that probably hasn't functioned in some time, that was boarded up. Who knows exactly how viable this is? I would guess not at all. But if you're buying this property, we want to make you aware of it, we want to make you aware that it exists out there. I am not making any promises as to how functional this may be. And even if it manages to be functional, you're still going to have to go through the Office of the State Engineer for water rights and for a well permit. My guess is you're not going to get much out of this, but I do want to point it out to you guys that this does exist. It is on the property itself. So just an FYI. Anyway, with all that said, guys, let's just talk about Tierra Verde a little bit. I mentioned earlier, no regs, no rules, no HOAs, no dues. Let's get into some specifics here. So up here under the property specific notes, we talk a little bit about this. The first thing is this is an area that was subdivided back in the 70s or something like that. And when it was created, they had covenants, they had restrictions for the area. And those covenants, those restrictions were set to sunset in about 20 years after by a vote of property owners. And there are 6 units in Tierra Verde. 5 of those units elected to do away with the covenants and restrictions, units 2 through 6. Unit 1 elected to keep the covenants. Now, in what form, I'm not entirely certain. But the point is, this property, let me go right here, sits in Unit 4, guys, okay? So it is not subject to those covenants, to those restrictions. And additionally, because you're out there in Cibola County, which has no formal zoning ordinance, Cibola County defers to the HOAs, defers to the subdivisions, whatever covenants, restrictions they have, and as noted, these have been done away with. Now, if you are looking at this property seriously and you want to do some research, we've got some helpful links down here for you. First is the Tierra Verde Ranchettes page. Click that. It's going to take you to this website that they have, that they update not very often. But here you could do some research on the subdivision itself. You can get a little better sense of some of the things I'm talking about here, etc. Should also be noted, they have a Facebook page. Again, if you click this, it'll take you to the Facebook page. This, too, does not seem to be updated very often. Oh my God, look at this. Hemingway Land, related pages. Who knew? Anyway, this, too, does not seem to be updated very often. I will, however, say that I have had my assistants reach out to this community and ask some questions about the region when we're doing some initial research. And we always get good feedback. So people who own land, who own houses out here, actually are semi-active on this and will respond to you if you want to do some research, if you've got some questions. It should also be noted, guys, Tierra Verde has a pretty helpful FAQ that you might want to go over on their website. It'll answer a lot of the questions. One of them that comes up a lot are their survey pins on the property. You know, the whole region was staked out years ago, and sometimes those things get pulled out of the ground. Sometimes those things get overgrown. We have bought lots out here where my photographer has very easily found the property boundary markers, and then you'll have ones like this where he comes back with no photos of property boundary markers. So my suspicion is they exist. They're hard to find, but I can't vouch for it. But generally speaking, throughout Tierra Verde, the property boundary markers in most places are well maintained. They're out there in some form or another. Some of them are rebar stakes, some of them are pins, etc. Sometimes you just need to look for it. He didn't find them on this property, doesn't mean they don't exist. Anyway, with all that said, a couple more things just want to mention here, guys. If, as part of your research, you're investigating, all right, so there's power out here, that's run by the Continental Divide Electric Co-op. They service this region. If you want to talk to them about, hey, I'm looking to build a house on this land, you've got power, at the lot line, what do I need to know, logistically speaking, what is this going to cost? Always a good idea to reach out to the power company. We, of course, have them linked here as well as down in the county contact information in the table. Whatever the case, it'll take you to their website. My guess is if you call these people and you're talking to them and you say Tierra Verde, they're going to know what that is. If they don't know what that is, they're probably going to ask you for a parcel number, which would be up here on our website. Okay, so they're either going to ask for a parcel number or a legal description or something like that. But that's going to help them better pinpoint exactly where the property and where the power line is that you're talking about. So if you do want to pursue a conversation about, what is this realistically going to cost for me to get hooked up? Additionally, guys, we also have, of course, the Office of the State Engineer, as well as some links down here for permit applications, well drilling info, things like that. A lot of times we will get calls here at the office asking basically what is the water table depth in this region. And my pat answer to this is because it's so difficult to give somebody an accurate sense of that. It's definitely this. It's definitely that. We like to defer to either this Office of State Engineer. They will have well logs. You can look them up on their website. as to the depth certain wells have been drilled in the area. Or it's usually just a good idea. Call people in the region who actually drill wells for a living. Talk to them. They'll probably know what Tierra Verde is. If you call, say, Tierra Verde Ranchettes, they could probably give you a sense of how deep that water table is, and what generally it costs to drill a well out there. Of course, well drilling is charged by, amount per foot. So the further down they drill, the more expensive it is. Should note, guys, that when you see a pretty nice house like this, it looks like somebody put some money into this. You'll see some other nice houses in this region. Let me find one. Well, here's another one. Anyway, when you see nice houses like this in the region, it usually suggests that the water table is fairly accessible. It's not prohibitively expensive per se. Also, when I see this much green on a map, that also suggests that to me. But of course, it's something that you're going to want to look into in advance. It's going to be part of your due diligence as a buyer. So, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with all that said, guys, those are the photos, those are the links, that's my spiel. If you're interested in purchasing this property, a couple things to know. Number one, we've got title insurance on this through Quest Title, so we will be providing a warranty deed. And if you do want to purchase it, just come up here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to take you to a secure page on the website here where you can enter payment info. Should have you know, guys, this is a cash purchase. We're looking for somebody who has the whole $10,500. There's no financing offer on this. So please, 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 don't give us $500 if you don't have the whole $10,500, okay? This is a non-refundable earnest money deposit. It's meant to prove that you're a serious buyer. So, please exercise a degree of discretion here if you're going to spend this kind of money, okay? Anyway, legal name for deed, tax address. Once you give us that information, click down here, terms and conditions, agree to these, click next. And on the next page, we'll ask for credit or debit card information. You put down the $500, and basically that's going to initiate the purchasing process. The way that works, guys, is we're going to draft up a contract. We sign it, you sign it, we'll submit it to the title company, and they will do the rest. It's always your option as a buyer to say how you want to close. He with the gold makes the rules. So if you do want to close this as a cash purchase or with a credit card, that's fine with us. We're not going to argue with you on that. But we always recommend to our buyers, when you get into this price range, it's good to get title insurance. It's good to close through a third-party intermediary who handles your money, the drawing up of the new deed, things like that. So if you'd like to learn more about that process, if you're unfamiliar with how title and escrow closing works, just come up here to our How It Works Buying From Us page. It'll take you to this page on our website. Recommend you come down here. It's a quick 3-step process. As noted, you guys put down the earnest money deposit. We draft a contract. We get that to you in 24 hours. We submit it to the title company. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, they are going to essentially vet the property again. They're going to do a lot of things that they've already done and should do a lot faster. They're going to do them slowly over the course of about a month. But at the end of that month, they're going to come back to you and say, yes, we're ready to insure this property, clear and marketable title. You're going to wire money to escrow. They're going to send us some deeds to sign, and they will not release your money to us until such a time as the property has been conveyed to you. This is another benefit of title escrow. And for the record, guys, if you'd like to see what the sale purchase agreement looks like, the thing we're going to ask you to sign prior to giving us money, if you want to see what that looks like, just come here, click this link right here, and it'll show you a generic version of one of our standard contracts. Of course, this is very simple, very self-explanatory. It's one page for signatures. But this will enumerate all the terms of this transaction, all of which are pretty standard and pretty easy to absorb. Anyway, so with all that said, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you like this property as much as I do. I think there's a lot to like about this land, particularly in comparison to a lot of the other lots that we've listed in Tierra Verde Ranchettes, which have sold pretty quickly themselves. So between the power of the lot line, between the no regulations, no zoning, no HOA, so on and so forth, I think there's a lot to like about this one. Anyway, with all that said, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.